Okay, thus have I heard on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Sawati in the eastern park in the palace of Megara's mother. Then the Brahmin Ganaka Moggallāna went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and said to the Blessed One, Master Gotama, in this palace of Megara's mother, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress, that is, down to the last step in the staircase. Among these Brahmins, too, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress, that is, in study. Among archers, too, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress, that is, in archery. And also among accountants like us, who earn our living by accountancy, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress, that is, in computation. For when we get an apprentice, first we make them count 1 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, 5 5s, and we make him count all the way to 100 too. Now is it also possible, Master Gotama, to describe gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress in this Dhamma and Discipline? It is possible, Brahman, to describe gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress in this Dhamma and Discipline. Just as, Brahman, when a clever horse trainer obtains a fine thoroughbred colt, he first makes him get used to wearing the bit, and afterwards trains him further. So when the Tathagata obtains a person to be tamed, he first disciplines him thus. Come, monk, be virtuous, restrained by the restraint of the Patimokkha, be perfect in conduct and resort, and seeing fear in the slightest fault, train by undertaking the training precept. The Patimokkha is the rules for the monks. Every morning you take precepts. You have 6 whole precepts. Monks have 227 of them. We have a lot of things. That's why when you came to start Give Me a Hug, I started backing away. One of the precepts is that I don't touch women on purpose. And there are a variety of other rules that I have to keep. So my behavior is not the same as a normal layman in a lot of ways. One of the things, and I think it's good to get this on tape, that monks are not supposed to do when you give a gift to a monk, the monk is not supposed to say thank you. Because if the monk says thank you, that turns that gift into a personal gift between one person and another. When you give a gift, I'm the representative of all monks. And I accept that gift on behalf of all the monks. So when you give a gift, I will say sadhu. Sadhu means well done. And the amount of merit that you make for giving that gift to the entire Sangha is huge. And it comes back in all kinds of wonderful ways for you. But if I say thank you, that turns it into a personal gift between one person and another. You still make merit, but not very much. So when I don't say thank you, but I say sadhu instead, I'm actually giving you the highest gift that I can give you at that time. And that is the appreciation of the Sangha with the Buddha at his head. So in this country, we are all trained to, somebody gives us something, we say thank you. Somebody helps us in some way, they say thank you. But the training of the monks is not to do that. The training of the monks is to acknowledge your gift by saying, well done. Or there was one monk that he was continually saying, I rejoice in the merit that you're making. As personal preference on that one. Anyway. It takes a long time to understand the rules of the monks. It takes a long time to practice so that you don't have any breaks in that. Every new moon and every full moon, when there are 4 monks together, they get together in a place called a sima, which is a consecrated ground where the monks do all their official acts. And we recite the entire Patimokkha. We recite all of the rules. When I was in Burma, it got to be a contest on monks when they started reciting to see how fast they could recite it. Now this is 227 rules, and it's a lot of pages of rules. And the guy that had the record at the monastery that I was at was 25 minutes. And it was like he was reciting it, and it was like like that. That wasn't the intention of the Buddha giving us all those rules, to say it that fast. It was for us to go over the rules to remind us that we need to keep those rules and remind us what the rules are. When Brahman, the monk, is virtuous and seeing fear in the slightest fault, trains by undertaking the training precepts, then the Tathagata disciplines him further. Come, monk, guard the doors of your sense faculties. On seeing a form with the eye, do not grasp at its signs and features. Since if you were to leave the eye faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade you. Practice the way of its restraint. Guard the eye faculty. Undertake the restraint of the eye faculty. Now what we're talking about here is in order to see something, there has to be a good working eye, and there has to be color, form, and light. When the good working eye hits the color and form, eye consciousness arises. The meeting of these 3 things is called eye contact. With contact as condition, eye feeling arises. Eye feeling is pleasant, painful, neither painful nor pleasant. With eye feeling as condition, eye craving arises. Craving is the I like it, I don't like it mind. Craving always manifests as tension and tightness in both your body and your mind. With eye craving as condition, clinging arises. Clinging is all of your opinions, your concepts, your thoughts about, and the story about why you like or dislike that feeling. With clinging as condition, then habitual tendency arises. When this kind of feeling arises, I always have these kind of thoughts, and I always get into this feeling in this way. Now, you're made up of 5 different things. The psychophysical process is 5 different things. You have a physical body. You have feeling, pleasant, painful, neither painful nor pleasant. You have perception. Perception is the part of the mind that names things. You look at this and you say, that's a lamp. Your mind is that part of your mind that has the perception in it. That's the thing that gave it the name. And it also has memory in it. You have thoughts and you have consciousness. Now, when a feeling arises, our natural tendency is to try to control the feeling with the thoughts. I don't like this. I wish it would stop. I wish it would go away. Why does it have to bother me now? Or the story. The more you think about the feeling, the more intense the feeling becomes. And that causes you to think more and more. And as you get caught in the thinking about, that thinking is trying to control that feeling. And the feeling keeps getting bigger and bigger until finally you can't stand it anymore. Now, there's a lot of people that are taking drugs for depression or stress in one form or another. It really doesn't matter what you call it, because they're trying to control the feelings with the thoughts. And they're 2 separate things. They don't meet. So the first thing you have to learn how to do is let go of the thoughts. Let them be there by themselves. Don't pay attention to the content of the thought. And relax. Let go of that tension and tightness caused by mind's attention moving to those thoughts. As you don't keep your attention on the thoughts, you let the thoughts be there by themselves and relax, you'll notice that there is a tight mental fist wrapped around the feeling. That mental fist, if it's a pleasant feeling, that mental fist is trying to hold on to it. I want it to stay here. I want it to be the same all the time. I want this feeling to last. If it's a painful feeling, then there's the pushing away of that feeling, trying to stop that feeling from being there. But the truth is, when a feeling arises, it's there. Anytime you try to fight with the truth, anytime you try to control the truth, anytime you try to change the truth so it'll be the way you want it to be, that is the cause of suffering. And it's no small amount of suffering, it's big. So what to do when you see this feeling and this tight mental fist around it? Allow the feeling to be there. Loving kindness is loving acceptance of the present moment. Allowing that feeling to be there, but you say, yeah, but it's a painful feeling. Okay, it's a painful feeling. It's all right for that painful feeling to be there. It has to be all right because it's there. I mean, if you miss that step when you're walking out and you fall down and hurt your knee, that feeling is going to be there because the conditions are right for it to arise. Right? So you can fight with that feeling, you can get mad at that feeling, you can try to make it do what you want it to do, that only makes that feeling bigger and more intense. So as you allow that feeling to be there, yes, it hurts, and it's okay for it to hurt, then relax that tension and tightness caused by your attention going to that feeling, and allow the space for that feeling to be there. Then gently bring that mind back to your object of meditation. You're feeling for a brief moment the cessation of suffering. Now, the nature of these kind of things when they arise is they don't go away right away. We all know that. So your mind is going to bounce back to it. And you're going to have the same thoughts. And you need to see those thoughts and let them go and relax. See that feeling, allow it to be there and relax, and come back to your object of meditation. As you do that over and over again, you start to recognize that there is a pattern that starts happening. And as you recognize that pattern, you start to let go of that pain more easily, more quickly, more with a mind that isn't trying to do anything with it outside of allow it to be there. Every time you let go of tension and tightness in your mind and in your body, you are purifying your mind. What are you purifying your mind of? Of that false belief that those thoughts and those feelings are me, that they're mine, that I can control them. When you start to let go of that belief, then you start seeing that this is a process that is happening because the conditions are right for that process to be there. And as you allow the space for that sensation to be there, or that painful feeling to be there, and relax into it, and you come back to your object of meditation, then it bounces back. You're going to start seeing it as you become more and more familiar with how that process works. You're going to see it more and more quickly and let it go more easily. All the time you're relaxing, you're letting go of that attachment to I am that. This happens with every kind of hindrance that arises. There's basically 5 kinds of hindrance. You have greed or lust, hatred, aversion, sleepiness, dullness, restlessness, anxiety, doubt, perplexity. Whenever these hindrances arise, in whatever form they arise in, they will take your mind completely away from your meditation and get you involved in thinking about this and that. As you become more familiar with the tricks of your mind, you start noticing that a little bit more easily. So the instructions in the meditation are very specific. When a thought arises, as soon as you notice that thought is there, let that thought go and relax. Let that feeling be there by itself and relax. Come back to your object of meditation. At first, when you start meditating, your mind might go away for a minute or 2 minutes or even 5 minutes, and that's fine. But as soon as you notice that your mind is not with your object of meditation, Then you let go of the thoughts and relax, allow the feeling to be there and relax and come back to your object of meditation. Every time you relax and come back to your object of meditation, you are improving your mindfulness. It gets stronger. Your observation power becomes more acute. Yeah, that's a good word. It becomes sharper, so you become more and more aware. Now, when you're practicing loving kindness, I tell you that I want you to smile. And I want you to smile for some very good reasons. It helps to improve your mindfulness. It helps to improve your awareness that your mind is very uplifted, and then all of a sudden it isn't. You become much more aware of it much quicker when you're smiling. And you let go of that and relax and come back, and then you start watching how the process works. What happens first? What happens after that? What happens after that? As you do that, eventually your mind will begin to understand that this is an impersonal process. And you'll see it just as a series of things that arise and pass away. As you do that, the hindrance that arose, that seemed so overwhelming at first, becomes weaker and weaker until finally it fades away. Then you will experience a sense of relief. Why? Because you've let go of an attachment. What is an attachment? I am that thought, I am that feeling. You let go of the belief that this was a personal thing that was happening. You start to see it as impersonal. Right after that, you will experience a very, very happy feeling, and this is called joy. This happy feeling has excitement in it, and you feel very light in your mind and very light in your body. Now, this happy feeling you treat in exactly the same way as you did a painful feeling. You allow that feeling to be there by itself, relax, and come back to your object of meditation. That's the way to make that happy feeling last longer. But the first time it happens, everybody goes, "Hey, this is great stuff." And you grab onto it and you say, "I'm going to keep this one around. I like this. I had to work real hard to get it. I'm going to make it stay," and that's the fastest way to make it disappear. Shucks. I'm so happy. Right after the joy fades away, you feel very, very tranquil, very, very peaceful and calm. You feel comfortable in your mind, you feel comfortable in your body. And your mind is very composed. It stays on your object of meditation, doesn't move, just without any effort at all. There can still be some thoughts that arise, but you'll see them very quickly. Let it be, relax, come back, just without any effort at all. What I just described to you was the first stage of meditation. This is called a jhana. Jhana, an awful lot of people that are practicing meditation, they use that word to mean absorption or deep concentration, but jhana actually means a level of understanding. As you start to understand how mind works, and you start to let go more and more, and come back to your object of meditation, you are teaching yourself how this process works. And it's kind of neat, yeah.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Yes, you can.
Maybe it's too early for this question, but to carry this throughout your day, then, if you have a feeling like I have a knot in my belly because...
Talk really loud so we can pick it up, okay?
Oh,
Well, if you
how to
have
carry this
a
into your
knot,
day.
yeah, how
A knot in my belly because I'm feeling fear around some thoughts or whatever, then I'm
Okay.
not meditating, so how do I...
in the same way. You let go of the thoughts, relax, and then you start smiling.
And just start smiling. Like
And
a fool
then
walking down the street.
You bet. Like a fool walking down the street,
Yep.
giving that smile away to every person you can see.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a foolish grin.
No, I know.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I was just
How's that?
lightening it up.
It doesn't matter
It was
whether it's a
already
foolish grin or an unfoolish grin.
Yeah.
The thing is, you gotta be grinning.
That's a judgment anyway, and you don't want to attach to whether it's a foolish or not foolish
Yeah.
grin.
Well, you're smiling with the understanding that what you do in the present moment dictates what happens in the future. So if you're smiling, even if it isn't genuine, it's going to be easier for you to produce genuine smiles in front of you. That's what your understanding is. And so you just start, opposing whatever's coming down on you and simply choosing to smile. That's your volition. That's your free will.
See, the thing is,
That's a good thing to remember.
you have the choice of either indulging in your thoughts or not. And if you see that there is fear there, or there's anxiety there, or there's worry there, then you have the choice either to let those thoughts go and relax and start sending some loving kindness to yourself or into the situation, whatever it needs, or you can get caught up in that worry and make yourself sick with that worry. But when you get caught up with, say, fear or anxiety, and you get in a car, are you driving? You see what I'm saying? You lose what's happening with your body because you get so caught up in your head, in the thoughts, and in the impossible situation that it is. Because every time you get caught up in a situation, it doesn't matter whether you're worrying about how you're going to solve a problem at work or you're worrying about anything. It doesn't matter what the content is. If you get caught up in that, then it's a huge mountain that's insurmountable. You won't see any way around it, and you'll spin your wheels trying to think how to solve the problem. When you develop your sense of humor about this, when it comes up, and you laugh out loud, all of a sudden this huge mountain, it's just a little bump in the road. Don't have to worry about it, it'll take care of itself. You'll see.
Okay.
It's especially
Can I get
true.
that in writing?
Yeah.
It's especially true about things that you think are unsurmountable and you can't control them.
Yeah.
Because the truth is you can't control them. And they're
So
here.
why
You
worry
can't
about it?
Make them be anything. So it's a choice. I'm going to be in the moment and I'm going to be here now with this. But I
And
know I
it's
can't
like
make
I was
the change.
talking about before, that the way you solve problems is through your intuition. And when you're thinking real hard about how to overcome this mountain, you don't pay any attention to that little tiny voice. When you start paying attention to that little tiny voice, that means you have to let go of the worry. You have to let go of your desires to make things be the way you want them to be. You have to let all of that go and come back into the present moment. And the way you do that is by allowing that to be there, relax. See that tight mental fist around that feeling, and relax. Now smile. Laugh. How does your mind feel now?
Feels lighter.
Okay. That's why you do that. When you have a light mind, your awareness is very fast. You can see when your mind starts to get pulled down really quickly. And your awareness is very agile. And you can start nudging that and letting it be and letting it go. That's not to say you do it 1 time or 5 times or 10 times and it's going to go away. It may not. That doesn't matter. What matters is how you see what your mind is doing in the present moment and relax into that.
When your mind is agile and alert, you're going to think of solutions you couldn't think of before.
Because that's a quiet mind, and that's where your intuition is.
You see.
Ha ha. Okay, on hearing a sound with the ear, on smelling and odor with the nose, on tasting a flavor with the tongue, on touching a tangible with the body, on cognizing a mind object with mind. Do not grasp at its signs and features. Don't grasp at its signs and features means don't get caught up in the story. Just notice that your mind is distracted by this. Okay, it can be distracted, it doesn't matter. What you do with what happens in the present moment dictates what happens in the future. So as you start relaxing into that, you start smiling into that, you start laughing with that, that changes your whole perspective. And it's much easier to say, oh, we'll just think about that later. Why don't we enjoy the walk right now? Smell the roses. Wasn't that one of the sayings that was in the 70s? You got to stop and smell the roses? Yeah.
If say you're grieving the loss of a loved one, I know someone whose mother just recently died.
Okay.
And he said he's been crying a lot and everything, to where he got to the place to where he's just allowing himself to feel the sadness. Isn't that
Well, of course,
something
the
that
sadness is going to be there.
Yeah. So,
But
but
you
he's
don't
allowing
try.
himself to feel it. He's not going around smiling,
Well, but
trying to.
look at this. When somebody dies, there is going to be a sad feeling.
Yeah.
And the natural tendency is to try and control those feelings with your thoughts. You'll have thoughts of how sad I am, how much I miss that person, how much I don't like this situation. All of those thoughts about that feeling make that feeling bigger and more intense. As you allow those thoughts to be there, but don't keep your attention on them, and relax, and allow that tight feeling to relax, then it's just this unpleasant sadness, and it's there, and it's true, and it's okay for it to be there. You still need to have a mind that uplifts a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now, what you do is you start sending loving and kind thoughts to family members, or loving and kind thoughts to yourself, or loving and kind thoughts to the person that just died. One of the biggest problems with grief is the feeling of frustration, of not knowing what to do. Now, when you start sending loving and kind thoughts, you have a feeling of really doing something that's helping.
Yeah, you feel empowered.
Yes, of course. So you're doing something that is a help. Yes, the sadness is there, but it's okay for it. It's painful. Yes, that's okay. Relax and then start smiling and radiating that loving kindness to other people. Or to yourself, it doesn't really matter. But now you're actually doing something. You don't feel lost.
Or helpless.
Or helpless. Thank you. I couldn't pull that word out. I've been working on it for a while.
No.
You don't feel helpless.
Well, I said it was empowering, so
Yeah.
that means that the opposite of that is that you feel powerless sometimes to
But you're not.
to do anything, but you're,
You're
not
not.
because you
You're
can
not
choose.
ever, because you have the choice either to indulge in that sadness or not. Now, people that don't let go of their grief. I worked with a hospice for a while, and I saw this happen. People would not let go of their grief. They kept their sadness. They kept thinking about how bad the situation was and how they didn't like it. Within about 1.5 years, they had some kind of major physical problem. Sometimes they even died.
Yeah, because they won't let go. of
Because they won't let go of the grief. Whose grief is it? Mine. I don't like this feeling. I don't like this situation. I really miss that person and I want them to come back. The more you indulge in those kind of thoughts, the more pain you hold in. The only way you can handle that and stay sane is by this practice that I'm showing you right now. And it works. It really, really does work. When Brahman, the monk, guards the doors of his sense faculties, then the Tathagata disciplines him further. Come, monk, be moderate in eating. Reflecting wisely, you should take food neither for amusement, nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort, and for assisting in the holy life, considering, thus I shall terminate old feelings of hunger, without arousing new feelings of desire. And I shall be healthy and blameless, and I shall live in comfort. As I was talking about it last night, I was telling you that it's a real good idea. Don't sit like that. Yeah. It's a real good idea to make sure that you actually do pay attention to chewing your food. My father, when I was growing up, he said, you should chew everything 25 times. Yeah, well, that gets boring counting. But chew everything until it turns to liquid in your mouth, and then swallow it. You won't eat as much. You'll digest it much better, and you will be more healthy. Now, the Buddha ate until his stomach was half full, and then he put 1/4 of the room in his stomach for water, and the rest was for air. Monks, a lot of monks like to eat breakfast, but we can only eat from right around 6 o'clock in the morning until high noon. That's the only time that we can eat. There are some allowable things in the afternoon. They're called medicines for monks. Just munching on candies and things like that. But there are some medicines that are real good. Honey is one of the things that we can take in the afternoon. And honey is a remarkable medicine. It really works quite well for a lot of things. and salt and things like that. So when we're talking about not eating to beautify your body, that means that you're not eating so that you'll maintain a particular weight. One of the things that happened to me when I got here from Asia is I weighed about 200 pounds when I got here. And I was skinny. And I started eating a lot of the oils that are in this country that people put in foods, and I started gaining weight so fast it was unbelievable. And I wasn't eating a large quantity of food. I only eat one time a day. I don't eat a breakfast, I just eat once. And I don't eat a lot of food at that time. But because of the oils and that sort of thing, they just started coming on. I was gaining weight, and I was watching these little tiny Asians eating this food, and they were like piling it away. They would take a plate, and it would be that high with rice, and then they put stuff on top of it, and they'd eat it all. I couldn't eat that much. But they didn't gain any weight. I did. I don't know why. Anyway. When Brahman, a monk, is moderate in eating, then the Tathagata disciplines him further. Come, monk, be devoted to wakefulness. During the day, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructive states. In the first watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructive states. In the middle watch of the night, you should lie down on your right side in the lion's pose, one foot overlapping the other, mindful and fully aware, after noting in your mind the time for rising. After rising in the third watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructive states. And this is what we did when I first became a monk. It was a difficult practice because I still had layman mind. And that was the judging mind, and I would see some monk do something that I considered a break in the rules, and all of a sudden my mind took off with that. And I suffered a lot for a little while. It actually takes about a year to get rid of these big obstructive states. When I was in Burma, there was a monk that when he came, he was from Korea, when he came, he could sit for 2 or 3 hours in meditation, no problem. He'd sit there like a rock. But he knew the rules of the monastery was not to eat an evening meal, but he was from Korea and he was used to eating an evening meal as a monk. So he started eating that evening meal. And the next time I saw him, he couldn't sit in meditation for more than about 15 minutes. He had so much restlessness because he knew he was breaking a rule. Now this is the importance of keeping your precepts. Don't break a precept. If you break a precept, that's going to affect your meditation negatively. You're going to have a lot of restlessness arising. You're not going to be peaceful and calm. Now, you've only got 6 rules. So keep them. But if for some reason while you're doing the retreat, if you do break one of the rules, please let me know. We'll take the precepts again right then. Okay? When Brahman, the monk, is devoted to wakefulness, then the Tathagata disciplines him further. Come, monk, be possessed of mindfulness and full awareness. Act in full awareness when going forward and returning. Act in full awareness when looking ahead and looking away. Act in full awareness when flexing and extending your limbs. Act in full awareness when wearing your robes and carrying your outer robe and bowl. Act in full awareness when eating, drinking, consuming food and tasting. Act in full awareness when defecating and urinating. Act in full awareness when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking and keeping silent. Now you guys can answer this. Full awareness of what?
Of how your mind moves. Of how your mind moves.
You do good work, kid. Yeah, that's it. Watch how your mind, what your mind is up to when you're doing all of these different kinds of activities. And that pretty much covers it all. I mean, while you're going to sleep, while you wake up, while you're talking, while you're not talking, while you're moving around doing this or that.
I actually have a question about that.
Yes.
I noticed this today. As I was at work, I have to solve these computer problems, right? So I have to think about like structures and come up with plans. So, what do I do with my object of meditation at that point in time? Like
Your object of meditation is what you're doing at that time.
So it's just following through with those
Right.
plans.
You have to be able to, you're hired to be a thinker, so you have to be able to think.
Yeah.
You have to be a problem solver because that's what you're hired to do. But when you see your mind getting real tight around it, or your mind becomes distracted, somebody just sent me something in the email about how mind wanders. It was a cognitive psychologist that wrote this thing, and they said the average person, their mind wanders 30% of the time. Now, when you see your mind wandering, let go, relax, laugh with it, smile, and come back to what you're doing in the present moment. And when you have some time constraints that you're working against, you start putting a little bit of pressure on yourself. I've got to get this done by this time. You'll notice that you start worrying about whether you can do that in that length of time or not. That's the time to let everything go and sit down for 5 to 10 minutes and just start relaxing and radiating loving kindness. And after that, you become super efficient. Everything becomes very easy. But before, when you had that restlessness, you were scattered and you were worried and you were putting pressure on yourself and you were trying too hard.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing with the meditation is learning the correct amount of energy to put in what you're doing at the present moment. The correct amount is the one that doesn't cause your mind to get restless or to get dull. The correct amount is the one that keeps you on target. Yeah.
When I was eating my apple today and we were talking about mindfulness, and I was saying that I thought that the way I was taught that, you know, like my other teacher had told me that I could snack during retreat as long as I savored every bite, because you were supposed to do everything mindfully. Isn't that what you're just saying, that whatever you're doing?
His definition of mindful and mine are not necessarily the same, though. We're using the same words.
So, but if I'm eating an apple...
Watching what mind's attention is doing in the present moment.
Okay.
How mind's attention moves. I mean, when you're eating the apple and you're savoring the apple, that's fine. But what happens when you start thinking about this and then thinking about that, and then you're 1,000 miles away and now you're thinking about your worries and anxieties, and so it's being able to catch that and let it go and come back to what you're doing in the present.
I think it's the beauty of this. It's something to do 24/7 because whatever you're doing in the present moment is your object of meditation. And I was transplanting plants today. That was my object of meditation. And anything that anything that wasn't involved with that, I let go. And so I was very efficient at what I was doing. I didn't waste time trying to worry about it.
Let go
So,
and
no.
relax and smile.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then digging became pleasurable because I was smiling. Rather than, and oh, this is a chore. It's like, oh, I have this to do. Oh, this is going to look pretty here. It's a total different attitude than, oh, what labor.
Yeah.
So now your wife makes you work twice as hard?
There
she was
is
gone, so
danger
she
in
didn't see
that.
it.
You were lucky.
The place
I wouldn't want to catch her
the
lip
place where
smiling.
people get caught sometimes is in the learning the 6 R's is they will release, and they stop, you see, and then they feel like a lot of things are happening and they just keep releasing and they're stuck, you see. Or
Or
they
they
will
release,
and
relax.
relax. But
Or they
there's-
release, relax,
Yeah,
release, relax,
and they don't
without
follow
coming back
through.
to what they're doing in the
This
present.
is it's a series like this. It's a series that the 6 pieces are rolling along like that, you see? And they have to reach a level where that's what's happening, but all 6 pieces are there. But they're not one, then the next, then the next. They begin to flow.
How'd you get so smart anyway?
What else?
When Brahman, the monk, possesses mindfulness and full awareness, then the Tathagata disciplines him further. Come, monk, resort to a secluded resting place, the forest, the root of a tree, a mountain, a ravine, a hillside cave, a charnel ground, a jungle thick in an open space, a heap of straw. He resorts to a secluded resting place, the forest, or a heap of straw, wherever. On returning from his alms round after his meal, he sits down, folding his legs crosswise, setting his body erect. Now this is during the time of the Buddha when everybody sat on the floor. They always sat cross-legged. We, on the other hand, have a tendency to sit in chairs a lot. And if you're sitting on the floor and you're not used to it, you can have a lot of pain come up. And it's not necessary. It's okay to sit in a chair while you're doing this practice, whatever way you're comfortable. Abandoning covetousness for the world, he abides with a mind free from covetousness. That means wanting things. Abandoning ill will and hatred, he abides with a mind free from ill will, compassionate for the welfare of all living beings. He purifies his mind from ill will and hatred, abandoning sloth and torpor. He abides free from sloth and torpor. The way you overcome sloth and torpor, which is sleepiness and dullness, is by taking more interest in your meditation, more interest in the friend that you're sending the love and kindness to, or to yourself. If that doesn't work and your half an hour sit is up, I recommend that you get up and you start doing a walk, but you walk at a normal pace. But walk back and forth. Say you go outside, just pick a spot and walk back and forth 40, 50 feet. But when you get to the end of your walk, stop but don't turn around and walk backwards. Now you're staying with your object of meditation. When you get to the end of the walk then, you walk forwards. And you get to the end and you walk backwards. That picks up your energy a lot and helps to balance it. Okay, mindful and fully aware. He purifies his mind from sloth and torpor, abandoning restlessness and anxiety. He abides unagitated with a mind inwardly peaceful. He purifies his mind of restlessness and anxiety. The way you purify your mind of restlessness and anxiety is that when you're sitting, you don't move. The restlessness is a very unpleasant feeling, and you will feel like moving, like jumping out of your skin. Then, in your mind, you start focusing on what it feels like to be tranquil. So you pull up the feeling of peace and tranquility, and you focus on that and radiate that feeling to yourself or to your spiritual friend, whoever you're doing your loving kindness to. Now, each one of these hindrances, when they arise, they are not going to go away right away. So you're going to be bouncing back and forth, just like a ping pong game. Those birds that we have whippoorwills that drive us crazy every summer. Whippoorwill. That's the sound. Anyway, the hindrance is your friend. It is showing you where your attachment is. It is showing you how this process works. As you accept this more and more and let it be and relax, then come back to your object of meditation, your mindfulness improves, you're teaching yourself more and more clearly how the process works. A very important aspect of the meditation. As you let go of a hindrance, you will go deeper in your meditation. You'll get to the second level or third level or fourth level, whatever. Okay, abandoning doubt, he abides having gone beyond doubt, unperplexed about wholesome states. He purifies his mind from doubt. The doubt that arises is whether you're doing the practice correctly or not. As you become more and more familiar with relaxing and smiling and coming back to your object of meditation, these doubts won't arise. They'll just not bother you as you become more and more familiar with how the process works. Right? Guys?
Right.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. This was our cue, right?
Having thus abandoned these 5 hindrances, imperfections of mind that weaken wisdom, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, he enters upon and abides in the first jhana, the first level of understanding, which is accompanied by thinking and examining thought, with joy and happiness born of seclusion. With the stilling of thinking and examining thought, he enters upon and abides in the second jhana, which has self-confidence and stillness of mind without thinking and examining thought, with joy and happiness born of collectedness. When you get into the second level of your meditation, the first level I've already explained. What happens is your mindfulness will falter. It's not very, very strong at this time. So whenever that happens, you have another hindrance come up. Now you have to work with this hindrance until you finally let that go. Now you get into the second jhana. The hindrance always precedes getting into the deeper stages of the meditation. So the hindrances, you better be friends with them, especially restlessness, because that's going to stay around until you become an arahant. which is a very, very deep state. That's the highest state you can attain.
What's it called?
Arahat.
Arahat.
Yeah. That's somebody that doesn't have any ignorance at all, ever. Nice state, nice state. Anyway, when you get into the second stage of your understanding, the second jhana, you start to gain a lot of self-confidence because now you're seeing, this is the way it works. Now I'm starting to understand this. I'm starting to see this. And this self-confidence starts to come out not only while you're sitting, but in your daily life. You're starting to understand more and more how you cause your own suffering and how to let go of that suffering. So it's a real nice stage of the meditation. Now this is where you're practicing loving kindness, and I was telling you before that you verbalize your wish. When you get to this stage, you can't verbalize your wish anymore. You can just bring up that feeling and put that feeling in your heart and surround yourself with that feeling.
You mean verbalize your wish, not out loud.
Not
in the
out
first
loud,
stage,
in your
just
mind.
saying in your mind,
Right.
I wish you
I wish myself
may you
peace
be
and
peaceful.
calm, whatever.
In the second stage, you don't say
verbalize
that,
it
you
anymore
just
in your mind. This is called
it.
the state of noble silence. These guys have heard this so many times, and all they do is smile.
That's why you're looking more over here, because they know it all.
Yeah, they're a bunch of know-it-alls.
Spoiled brats too.
We're bratty
Now
too.
the joy that you experience at this stage is much stronger. You feel more light in your body and light in your mind. You still have the excitement of the joy, but it's not quite as much excitement. But you feel like you're floating. You feel like you're going to hit the ceiling if you don't watch out. That's how light you feel. When that feeling goes away, and it will, after a period of time, you feel more tranquil and more at ease than you've ever felt before. You're very, very peaceful and calm. Very, very comfortable in your body, very comfortable in your mind. Your mind just stays on your object of meditation. Very composed. Okay, with the fading away of joy, he abides in equanimity, mindful and fully aware, still feeling pleasure with the body. He enters upon and abides in the third jhana, on account of which noble ones announce he has a pleasant abiding, who has equanimity and is mindful. When you get to this stage, after having another hindrance, and letting it go, your mind starts to gain a real strong sense of balance. That's what equanimity is. It's a sense of balance. So you don't have the roller coaster ride of emotion so much anymore. Now that's kind of rolling, a rolling wave. As you go deeper into this, the equanimity starts to get stronger and stronger, so that even those waves are kind of rough, and it starts to turn into little ripples of emotional things. And it's much easier to let them go. It's easier to recognize them. Now, what happens is, and this is always kind of comical for me, is the person that has this, they feel the equanimity, they feel very comfortable, they feel very much at ease, and they come in complaining because they don't feel any joy. But I don't have any joy. The joy disappeared. And I start asking questions about having a sense of balance that you've never had before, and feeling very comfortable like you've never felt before, and very, very at ease and all of this, and it's yes, 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 but I don't have any joy. And I say, good, continue, everything's going along fine. Now, I don't tell people what stage of meditation they're in, because you don't need to know. You're going through these experiences and you're teaching yourself more and more deeply how mind's attention moves, and you're starting to see it more and more clearly all the time. That's what's important. In Asia, there's always talk among the students of, I'm in this jhana, I'm in that jhana, and there's all this pride stuff that happens, and I decided a long time ago I wasn't going to put up with that in my students, so I don't tell anybody what jhana they're in until they get up to the deeper jhanas, and then it's a nice thing to know. Okay, what happens now is you start to lose more and more tension in your mind. As you lose tension in your mind, you lose tension in your body. As you lose tension in your body, you don't feel parts of your body. You don't feel your hands. You might not feel your legs. You might not feel your back or shoulders or wherever. What happens is, as you let go of tension in your body, or in your mind, you let go of tension in your body, and that's what you feel, this tightness and tensions. So it's like they just start disappearing in different parts of your body. Now you're radiating loving kindness from your heart, and all of a sudden that disappears. Now you start radiating loving kindness from your mind. And that's a good thing. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, he enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. The fourth jhana is where you have, up until then, you're considered a beginner meditator. When you get to the fourth jhana, then you're considered an advanced meditator, because now you really start to understand how all of this stuff works. You start to see it much more clearly. You have very, very strong balance of mind that will carry through in your day. Now, when you're doing your meditation, I tell you I want you to keep your meditation going while you get up from your sitting and going out to your walking space and walking. Stay with your meditation and come back and stay with your meditation and sit down and stay with your meditation. That means smiling, watching what your mind is doing, staying with your spiritual friend or yourself. So, this is my instruction, Brahman, to those monks who are in the higher training, whose minds are not yet attained, that have not yet attained the goal, who abide aspiring to the supreme security from bondage. But these things conduce both to a pleasant abiding here and now and to mindfulness and full awareness for those who are arahats with taints destroyed, who have lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached their own goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and are completely liberated through final knowledge. When this was said, the Brahmin Gaṇaka Moggallāna asked the Blessed One, when Master Gautama's disciples are thus advised and instructed by him, do they all attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, or do some not attain it? When Brahman, they are thus advised and instructed by me, some of my disciples attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, and some do not attain it. Master Gautama, since Nibbana exists, and the path leading to Nibbana exists, and Master Gautama is present as the guide, what is the cause and reason why, when Master Gautama's disciples are thus advised and instructed by him, Some of them attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, and some do not attain it. As to that Brahman, I will ask you a question in return. Answer it as you choose. What do you think, Brahman? Are you familiar with the road leading to Rajagaha? Yes, Master Gotama, I'm familiar with the road leading to Rajagaha. What do you think, Brahman? Suppose a man who wanted to go to Rajagaha, and he approached you and he said, Venerable Sir, I want to go to Rajagaha. Show me the road to Rajagaha. Then you told him, Now, good man, this road leads to Rajagaha. Follow it for a while, and you will see a certain village. Go a little further, and you will see a certain town. Go a little further, and you'll see Rajagaha, with its lovely parks, groves, meadows, and ponds. Then, having been thus advised and instructed by you, he would take a wrong road, and he would go to the west. Then a second man came who wanted to go to Rajagaha, and he approached you and said, Venerable Sir, I want to go to Rajagaha. Show me the road to Rajagaha. Then he told him, Now, good man, this road goes to Rajagaha. Follow it for a while, and you will see Rajagaha with its lovely parks, groves, meadows, and ponds. Then, having thus advised and instructed by you, he would arrive safely at Rajagaha. Now, Brahman, since Rajagaha exists, and the path leading to Rajagaha exists, and you are present as the guide, what is the cause and reason why, when those men have thus been advised and instructed by you, one man takes a wrong road and goes to the west, and one arrives safely at Rajagaha? What can I do about that, Master Gotama? I am the one that shows the way. So too, Brahman, Nibbana exists, the path leading to Nibbana exists, and I am present as the guide. Yet, when my disciples have been thus advised and instructed by me, some of them attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, and some do not attain it. What can I do about that, Brahman? The Tathagata is the one who shows the way. When this was said, the Brahman Gaṇaka Moggallāna said to the Blessed One, There are persons who are faithless and have gone forth from the home life into the homeless, not out of faith, but seeking a livelihood, who are fraudulent, deceitful, treachery, haughty, hollow, personally vain, rough-tongued, loose-spoken, unguarded in their sense faculties, immoderate in eating, undevoted to wakefulness, unconcerned with recluseship, not greatly respectful of training, luxurious, careless leaders in backsliding, neglectful of seclusion, lazy, wanting in energy, unmindful, not fully aware, they are unconcentrated with straying minds, devoid of wisdom, drivellers. Master Gotama does not dwell together with these. But there are clansmen who have gone forth out of faith from the home life into the homeless, who are not fraudulent, deceitful, treacherous, haughty, hollow, personally vain, rough-tongued and low-spoken, who are guarded in their sense faculties and moderate in eating, devoid of wakefulness, unconcerned with recluseship, greatly respectful of training, not luxurious or careless, who are keen to avoid backsliding, leaders in seclusion, energetic, resolute, established in mindfulness, fully aware, concentrated with unified minds, possessing wisdom, not drivellers. Master Gotama dwells together with these. Just as a black orris root is reckoned as the best root perfumes, and red sandalwood is reckoned as the best wood perfumes, and jasmine is reckoned as the best flower perfumes, so too Master Gotama's advice is supreme among the teachings of today. Magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent. Master Gotama has made the Dhamma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overturned, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go to Master Gotama for refuge, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha of Bhikkhus. Let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge for life. So, what that last part is all about is, if we follow the directions that the Buddha gives us, and stay true to following those directions and don't add a turn or two or subtract anything, then the chances of us being able to experience what the Buddha was talking about is very, very good. Okay? Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
What did the Buddha say about lay people in their daily life? Like, did he have any more specific rules about how often to practice so that you can carry it with you in all your affairs? Or?
No, he didn't have anything like that. He figured that once you understood well enough,
You could figure that out.
you can figure that out for yourself.
Okay, okay.
But he didn't even tell the monks how often they should practice. He encouraged them to practice often, but he never said, I want you to practice this many hours a day. Yes.
When you talked about the going out and walking forwards and walking backwards,
Yeah.
that was if you said like,
If you have
if.
sleepiness or dullness,
Oh, right, okay, okay,
that helps pick
Sometimes
up your energy.
okay. And why walking backwards, why must you walk backwards rather than turning around and going back and seeing where you're going?
Because it helps pick up your energy.
We don't really understand it, but
You
if you
said
walk
something about
backwards, it like
focus.
winds up your energy.
It helps your
Gives you
energy
more
to
energy.
improve.
Okay.
And
I'll have
then
to be
when
careful I
you
don't-
go sit, you won't have that dullness of mind. I'm going to meditate some more. But before we go, I want to share some merit. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty powers share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.